of our favorite legal experts join us now, and criminal defense attorney Brian Claypool. It's kind of interesting the way the attorney for Mangione, Karen Friedman Agnifilo, brought it up today, you know, the ping pong ball reference that we played at the top of our broadcast. And here she is, Brian, talking about the perp walk. As I said, apparently she wasn't happy with the whole display. I don't know how it affects the case or if it does, but here's Agnifilo once again. Listen.
He was on display for everyone to see in the biggest staged perp walk I've ever seen in my career. It was absolutely unnecessary. He's been cooperative with law enforcement. He had been in custody for over a week. He waived extradition. He was cooperative at all accounts. There was no reason for the NYPD and everybody to have these big assault rifles that, frankly, I had no idea was in their arsenal.
What's she trying to do, Brian, with this argument, do you think?
Hey, Connell, great to see you. Yeah, she's trying to affect the jury, right? She wants the jury pool out there to know that her client is being unfairly treated, that the government has already cast Mangione as being guilty, and that violates his constitutional rights. You're innocent until proven guilty. So she's trying to infiltrate the potential jury pool. But look, that said, this happens all the time with high-profile cases. Where the country's looking at this very closely. I mean, Connell, this was a calculated, cold-blooded murder on the streets of New York on videotape. That's pretty chilling for most people across the country. So that's why they've amped up security. They've amped up, you know, the armed guards around him. But look, to your point, at the end of the day, it's going to have little or any effect at all on the actual trial of Mangione.
One more thing here that I'm interested in your take on, both of you really, is the death penalty. Because in the federal case, you know, the state will go first, apparently, according to this agreement. But, Brian, what about the death penalty, which, of course, is in the news for all kinds of other reasons today, which we'll talk about later in the show, with President Biden commuting these death sentences for 37 of the 40 people on federal death row. But I wonder if the government, and there'll be a new administration in Washington, for what it's worth, will pursue the death penalty here. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, hey, Connell, I was on with Natasha a couple of days ago on News Nation, and I brought up a point that I think the federal government should be going first, right? So the real reason why I think the feds indicted Mangione was on that first charge of using a firearm, you know, to commit a murder,
right?
Because that creates the death penalty, right? The death penalty flows from that. You don't have the death penalty in the state case. So if everybody is pounding their chest, you know, flexing their muscles from the prosecution side, why are the prosecutors not allowing the federal case to go first and send a message? Let's seek the death penalty against this man that murdered a CEO in cold blood. So I think it's confusing and bewildering why the state wants to jump first where there's no death penalty. I think the Fed should go first. And then if you get the death penalty, then what's the point of having a second trial? And I really have an issue, quite frankly, as a criminal defense lawyer, with this let's charge with the state and let's charge with the federal. Let's see who goes first. And gee, if the state doesn't win, the Fed can maybe win. I really do still believe that violates the double jeopardy clause in the Fifth Amendment.
Thank you both, Misty and Brian.